Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Jorge Masvidal probably has a better head on his shoulders than most pundits at CNN. Not only does he put his head into the ring, he understands politics better than these people will ever understand. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our great sponsors over at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have the cure to Bidenflation and Harris economics, but more on that later. Now, let's dive in.
What was it that made you connect with Donald Trump in particular, or that particular brand of politics, which I think is different from Republican establishment, that even like the Bush family, right? Jeb Bush had a long history in Florida, but you gravitated towards a very specific wing of the Republican Party. When that is bubbling up 2015, 2016, what is drawing you to it? And the reason why I ask is more and more young men without college degrees are also being drawn to it. And I'm sort of curious what connected it for you.
So, like I told you, I had the huge influence from my family with the politics. So I'm looking at politicians, not necessarily how just an American would look at them, but somebody that's lived these experiences and has had these experiences. So as I'm hearing these politicians, I'm kind of like, man, every single one of them is full of shit. Like all of them, they all promise this, and this. Then they get there and they don't deliver on anything. Not Democrats, not Republicans. And here comes this guy, Trump, right? And he's talking about, I was in all of these guys' pockets. They were never in mine. I had these politicians doing my bidding, my will, and I would, fund their campaigns. I'm telling you, no one's going to be in my pockets. I'm running the show. What I say is what I'm going to do.
So you don't hear that and think like, oh, he's corrupt. you think like, oh, this means he's gonna
have his own thoughts and ideas instead of 5 corporations telling him, here, do this, as is what we see in politics. How is it that certain politicians, their salaries will dictate $160,000 a year and they have $100 million net worth?
Yeah.
Because he's coming in with money already. What does he have to gain already? I much would trust somebody that has $1 billion in business that you've already made than somebody that's money hungry and that has constant money in front of them and they can't control themselves. So when I saw that he was going to put his heart and soul into politics and actually fight for America, it was like the best thing ever. And then to see that he kept a good amount of his promises and things that he, like if he was a prophet, he predicted like, hey, we're going to have a border problem if we don't put this border up. Now we have 20 million illegal immigrants. Now the economy's like doing so bad. And I know they'll keep blaming it on him, Biden, the current administration, on Trump. Like, oh, he handed us over a messed up economy. I don't know about you, but I was way better off than those 4 years with Trump than anything now. And the Democrats won a lot on that ticket. And that is straight out of the playbook of communism, divide the black people from within the black people. Have the blacks hate the blacks, the whites hate the whites, have everybody hate each other, because then you can conquer when you divide. And that's straight out of the communist playbook. We see now more than ever. It's one party takes it very to the extreme. One party is like, you traitor, you this and that. Like, what do you mean traitor? I'm doing what's best for me and my family.
Is that something you've heard?
Yeah, I could show you my Instagram right now. You wouldn't believe it. Land people that go nuts. There's a lot of land people that call me a traitor. Go, why are you riding with Trump for this and that? You crazy mother. And I get a million messages every day. Every time I make a Trump post, I'll get, good amount of comments saying good stuff. And then there'll be like a 20-25% on negativity, From threats to you're not Latin for real, or you freaking are sellout, or this and that. Like, no, man, you're the one that doesn't understand what's happening here. There's communism on the other side, and we got to stand up against it,
Absolutely fantastic. That is a common man's answer to and belief of what is actually going on here. So as I've been fortunate enough to work multiple jobs before I lucked into this one. I've worked in, not factories, but I've worked in warehouses. I have worked with people of all walks of life, of all different races and all different backgrounds. And for the most part, these people got along pretty well. But the very language that Jorge is using here matches that of the people that I would talk with in these warehouses. These are people who are trying to earn a living paycheck to paycheck, doing their best to try to make it in a world that is increasingly turning against them. This is the ultimate ideal for Democrats. What Democrats want to do is what they did in California. Hey y'all, I'm not exactly looking at retirement anytime soon, but my parents are, and friends of my parents are, and I'm sure either you or someone you know is looking at retirement and wondering, what do I do? How do I help prepare for this in this economy with this terrible president and with a vice president who basically coup d'etat him and is now looking to run for president herself? How do you protect against this? Well, simple. You go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group. They quite literally have something called the Retirement Package Plan. This plan backs your wealth with gold and silver accounts. And furthermore, you will have direct access to these accounts. So you're not at the whims of Wall Street. You're not at the whims of inflation. You are in command of your own destiny. As a bonus, qualified applicants can receive up to $10,000 in free silver, plus a couple of other little goodies that they're going to package up for you, and you're going to be able to protect your wealth and your retirement. So go over to this link in the description below at colonialmetalsgroup.com or call this number 800-203-0422 and see how they can help you prepare for retirement today by backing your account with gold and silver. Don't delay your retirement, folks. Protect the money that you earned with Colonial Metals Group. They're here to help. And granted, Republicans made a couple of really bad decisions in the 70s and the 80s, but the Democrats have made nothing out of California ever since then. They lucked into the tech industry, but you know what? I'm getting a little off track. What Democrats want to do is the same thing that they did in Illinois, in California, and New York State. And this is, New Mexico, by the way. New Mexico doesn't often get the spotlight that it deserves, mainly because, Breaking Bad. But what Democrats love to do is they hollow out the middle class, they hollow out the working class, and ultimately make a rich and poor system, a two-class system, where the rich feel bad about themselves, so they give a lot of money in taxes, and it subsidizes the poor. And it does not incentivize the individual. It doesn't incentivize people to go out and make something of themselves. That, however, is espoused by the Republican Party and a lot of conservative politics that say we believe in you as the individual instead of believing in you as a collective. That is what Jorge is trying to talk about, and I think that's what he's tapping into here. Because under Democrat control, what we constantly saw is a rise in prices, a rise in inflation, and yes, before the arch conservatives come in, I get it, Donald Trump did prime the economy with a whole lot of extra money. But what pushed us over the edge was another infrastructure bill that did nothing to repair American infrastructure. And if you want to talk about infrastructure right now, just ask people in North Carolina how that's working out for them. Yeah, that's how badly our economy was managed. That is how poor Democrats seem to run things when they're in office. Under Barack Obama, we got this long malaise of just a weak economy. Then we have to go back even farther under Jimmy Carter, who is still alive to this day, God bless him. Good man, terrible president. And we underwent an even worse malaise during then. The only time in recent memory that I can think of a smart Democrat was Bill Clinton, who was forced to the negotiating table by Newt Gingrich and the resurgent Republican Congress, who had at that time realized that throwing money at problems doesn't work. That's all Democrats seem to know to do. Raise taxes and throw money at the problem. They don't care about the struggles of the common man. They don't care about the struggles of the individual. They only look at the collective, because when you're up in your ivory towers, when you live in your gated communities, and you don't really interact with the average person, like I've been fortunate enough to do, you are then so isolated from reality that you're starting to hemorrhage voters. That's exactly what is happening to the Democrat Party. On one hand, their messaging back in the late 90s and early 2000s seems to be winning out. On the other hand, they have sold themselves so far as to believe that they have the answers to our problems, despite the fact that they're the ones that made everything terrible in the first place. We have a choice in November, and hopefully we understand this lesson until Democrats realize that you can't tax their way out of your issues. Until they understand that American ingenuity is the way forward, until they start embracing people like excuse me, like Elon Musk instead of Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is an opportunist. Elon Musk is a creator. Once you realize that the creators are the people that move things forward, they're the engines of history, they're the engines of economy, they're the engines of ingenuity. Until they realize that that individual spirit, that gumption, that ideal that we're going to go out and take what we need and make something better, that is what is embodied in the American spirit. Until the Democrats realize this, you're going to get more people like Jorge, who, on one hand, he's an MMA fighter, okay? He is not an entrepreneur, but he understands his brand, he understands where he comes from, and he understands the reality. And that is that under the Trump economy, things were better. It was really just that simple then, and it's that simple now. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Political Brawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.